Okay.
So welcome to Financial Literacy Using 4-H Curriculum. My name is Monica Walker. I'm an extension agent in Grant County for Family and Community Wellness and 4-H and Youth Development. And prior to being an extension agent in Kansas, I was an extension agent in Texas with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. I actually have a business management degree, and then I also attained my master's in adult education. So that's a little bit of my background. I'm actually a former Hodgman County 4-Hers, and I raised all three of my girls in Texas 4-H. So lots of generations of 4-Hers in my family. So why teach financial literacy to 4-Hers? Well, no matter what you choose to do with your life, you will have to learn to manage money to be successful. This is actually a statement from one of the curriculum that we're going over tonight, Money Fundamentals. Developing sound financial skills early in life can have positive implications as youth grow into adults. And introducing general concepts such as good savings habits, responsible spending is important for financial success later in life. So lack of financial knowledge and skills among youth can actually lead to risky credit behaviors, such as higher rates of borrowing, mortgage delinquency, and foreclosures. So Shop 4-H, which is part of the National 4-H Council, has a financial literacy facilitator bundle on sale thanks to sponsorship by TD Ameritrade. And so you can get this bundle on sale for $29.95 currently. It says that the original price is $105. So that's a substantial savings for this facilitator package. And as Shane said, 10 lucky winners will receive one of these facilitator bundles. And so tonight we're going to kind of review each one of these curriculums. So the benefits of these packaged curriculums include following academic standards. They use the experiential learning model, which is important to 4-H. They contain ages and stages information about youth, which is helpful. The content has a scope and a sequence. It includes objectives and standards, and it's research-based information. And they're high quality curriculum and peer reviewed. And in these curriculum, individual and group learning are both valued. So youth and adults are both learners. And so I find that a lot of this is good information for me that I learn or refresher as I go through these curriculums. So the first book is called Smart Sense. And so it's actually a playbook that uses activities from each of the other curricula to implement what's designed for a 10-hour Smart Sense program in a 4-H club, a school, an after-school program, or any youth program. And so it actually pulls lessons from the Financial Champions, both of those books, Money Fundamentals and Money Moves, My Financial Future, the Beginner and Advanced book, the Reading Makes Sense curriculum, and then it also includes the Entrepreneurship Investigation, which is online through the University of Nebraska. So this is designed for middle school youth. Grades 4 through 6 are the target, but these can be used for older youth also. So there are 6 core concepts to choose from in this Smart Sense playbook. And so those are financial decision-making, spending and saving, credit and debt, income and employment, investing, and risk management. So there's a good section with detailed activities for each of those core concepts in this playbook. So here's an example of the lessons to choose from for concept 1, financial decision making. So you can see they've got the columns. This is kind of a summary of that core concept that's contained in the first chapter. And so you can see 3 core activities for this lesson, and it tells you about how much time, 20 minutes each, and then additional elective activities that you can do and how much time it would take. So you can see you've got from 10 up to 30 minutes to do these activities. So completing all of the core activities for all 6 concepts would take about 10 hours, but the activities can be completed independently of each other. They just recommend that you present them in the order as presented in the playbook if you're going to go through those. So if you can see on that chart that the source column tells you which curriculum the lesson comes from. So you can see references to Financial Champions, My Financial Future, and Reading Makes Sense to come up with these activities for this core lesson, financial decision making. So the next one is Reading Makes Sense. So this is actually a financial literacy and reading curriculum. And so it's designed for grades 3 through 5, was developed as a group curriculum for adults or teens to lead in an after-school setting. But it's got great activities, you know, and it tells you how much time you need for each one. Most of them are 15 to 20 minutes that, you know, could be used for 4-H meetings, in-school day camps, library programs, any kind of youth program, and the activities build on each other. So this could be a great opportunity for 4-H junior leaders to present some of these lessons, either at a 4-H club meeting or project meetings, or a special spin club meeting. And so this would be a great opportunity for junior leaders also. So the format of Reading Makes Sense. It has 7 financial themes organized by sections. So it's got the history of money, managing money, earning money, spending money, saving and investing money, sharing and giving money, and borrowing and lending money. What I like about this is it uses children's books to help teach the lessons. And so I will look and see which books our library has available. And so I'll go check those out. And so I just have a couple of examples that our library happen to have available. This first one's called 101 Ways to Bug Your Parents. So this is for a little, you know, for that older reader. And so in this one, the main character wants to go to Invention Convention, and his parents make him go to summer school instead. And so he comes up with a plan on how to get to this invention convention and become a millionaire with his invention. And then this one is a kind of more of a picture book for younger kids, but still good information for middle school age that talks about all the places that the quarter goes, from being minted and then how it travels through the financial system. So it's kind of fun to use the books that the kids also enjoy to teach the concepts. So the curriculum goals of Reading Makes Sense is to teach basic money management to this ages 3rd through 5th grade, using children's literature to help assist with that, improve attitudes towards reading because you're encouraging them to read more. And then it actually has take-home family activities, which are really great. So it supports literacy activities in the home and gives them opportunity to practice important life and money skills. And so one of the activities that I like uses the book, The Babe and I. And this is about a little boy that sells newspapers back during Babe Ruth's time to earn extra money for the family is having financial hardship. And so he actually gets to meet Babe Ruth through selling these newspapers. And so there's example, it's a family time activity to use along with this book. And so it has the activities for the families to do at home. So they read together the book, and then they talk about during the Great Depression, a boy helps his family by selling newspapers. And then they think about your family, your ancestors, and talk about times they have been through hard financially, like maybe the Great Depression, or, you know, to visit with a family member that knows about that or experienced that. And then this one even has a neat apple bread pudding recipe that in the book one night the dad brought home milk and apples, and so it's got a recipe using it for apple bread pudding using milk and apples that follows along with that, the Babe and I book. So I like how that uses the books, children's books, to go along to help enforce the lesson. So another sample activity I thought we could just do real quick together out of Reading Makes Sense. If you have a dollar bill or any kind of another bill, pull that out for me real quick. And this is one of the activities in my place. This is one of the activities in the History of Money chapter. And so it's called I Spy Questions, I Spy a Dollar, Signs and Symbols. So what you do is have the kids get a dollar bill or $5 bill, whatever is available, and then you teach them about the signs and symbols on the paper money and what those mean. So the first question is, what Federal Reserve Bank issued the bill? And so you have them look here to this section right here to see what the letter is. And so then you've got a list of the codes that identifies where this came from. So my particular one has an F on it. And so that's from Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank. And so it's just kind of interesting, which is District 6. So it's got the little 6 on it. So it's kind of fun because when I taught this earlier this year, the one I actually had was from the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank. So it's interesting to see what different ones you have, and the kids have fun finding those. You ask them what year was it printed and where to find that at, what's the serial number on the bill and what's that for. So that's kind of an example of just a fun activity that you can do with the Reading Makes Sense. So the next one is called Financial Champions, books 1 and 2. And so Money Fundamentals and Money Moves are the titles of these. These are designed for teens, but you can also use them for middle school activities, which the Smart Sense Playbook lists those for that, things that you can do with middle schoolers. So with these curriculum, each youth has their own workbook. And so it has blanks and places for them to fill out and do the activities. So with Money Fundamentals, book 1, you can see the list of 6 sections of youth activities. These are books of activities that youth can complete on their own, or an adult helper can guide them through the activities. So or something they could do the activity at home on their own and then bring it back and review it at a project meeting or a club meeting once they've done that on their own. So either individual or with a group. And so in this particular one, they'll examine their own thoughts about money with a personality quiz. And then other activities teach goal setting, the difference between needs and wants, how to budget, and money motivators. Then the second book is called Money Moves. And so you can see that this has 8 sections of youth activities. So in this one, teens' financial skills will evolve going through the second book of the Financial Champions series. So in this one, they'll learn about financial institutions, the pros and cons of credit, and how to select financial services. And they'll also learn the important life skill of check writing, which, we found that some of our 4-Hers don't know how to write checks. And so that's an important life skill that they learn in 4-H. And so this includes that important life skill. So the next one is called My Financial Future, Beginner and Advanced. And so the beginner book has 11 activity chapters. And then the advanced book, which you would do this one next, has 5 modules. And so this curriculum helps middle and high school youth develop critical skills and knowledge in money management. So in this one also, each youth has their own notebook. And so it covers saving and spending, credit cards, purchasing, financial records, risk management, investment, and goals. And so again, this is the same type of thing as the Financial Champions. It has activities and for them to pull out. So they would need their own workbook. So here's a sample lesson from My Financial Future. This is in the Managing Your Money Flow chapter. And so in this one, they're learning about apps that help track expenses. And so they go through and evaluate the apps in the top. Is the app free or is there a cost? What are the advantages of this app? What are the disadvantages, other criteria they saw? And then they recommend lists of certain ones to look at, or the kids can look at apps on their own. And then the My Spending Plan activity, it helps them track income and expenses. And so this could be used for personal income or expenses, or with 4-H. This is also could be used for a budget for the livestock project, the food and nutrition project, because it can be expensive buying the ingredients for all of the different things that the kids may want to practice making and then also making for the fair. And so, if they're able to sell at auction, then that's a pretty good income compared to expense. But then sometimes, there's not a lot of income with it, but it's just a good way that you could use that for any project. Most of the projects in 4-H require some expense. And so that's a good lesson that could go along with projects. And so it also kind of follows along with the 4-H record book forms in Kansas, where they have the expense sections now listed in both the livestock and non-livestock projects. So I think that's good that we have that in our record books for the kids to develop that financial knowledge also through their record books. So the types, there are a little bit of types of, there's differences with these curriculums. So the Smart Sense is a programming guide. And so this one helps you put together activities or programs based on themes using several different curriculum. The Reading Makes Sense is more of a traditional teaching facilitator guide. And then the youth notebooks, where each youth has their own notebooks, either the Financial Champions or the My Financial Future. So, and there can be some expense in purchasing these. The My Financial Future, when I looked these up recently, they were $11.95 per youth book. And then the Financial Champions, I think, were $10.95 per workbook. And so that's where you maybe would want to look into partnerships to help with funding. And so, you know, partnering with the schools, the library, community center, banks, investment firms, your Chamber of Commerce. And so I know my husband was a banker in Texas, and they were required to do so much community outreach and community service. And so they donated money and helped with the programs that we did down there, such as Welcome to the Real World. And so you might be able to find a community partner that would help with the expense of the workbooks, so that your 4-Hers could each have one. So strategies to deliver this curriculum. So if you're a 4-H leader, then you've got your 4-H club. It could be an educational topic. It could be a yearly goal of your 4-H club to teach financial literacy, maybe a spin club theme for a special club that works on that. Maybe you have day camps in the summer, 4-H camps or workshops that it could be included in. If you're a teacher and extension agent, then it also can be used for school curriculum. And so there's classroom enrichment, after school programs that it can be used for. And the projects, all financial planning for projects would all be beneficial. And so in the past, I've used some of this information in preparing my teams for the 4-H Food Challenge or the 4-H Duds to Dazzle practices. So in the 4-H Food Challenge, the teams compete against each other with a set of unknown ingredients that they have to put together a dish and then present it to the judges. And they're also given the grocery store receipts for the prices of the food. So they have to calculate what the total cost of their dish was, how much they used of each. And then the Duds to Dazzle even goes a little bit further. That is a clothing and textiles project where teams are given a certain textile that they have to make something out of, maybe something recycled or something old. And then they have to come up with almost like an entrepreneur plan where could they sell this that they made? What would they charge for it? What were their expenses in making the product, which includes labor, you know, how much time does it take for them to produce that product? And then they have to present that to the judges. And so these things on entrepreneurship and income and expense and budgeting are all good life skills that can apply to the 4-H projects. So, and then I wanted to ask if anyone had any other ideas too, that where you could present these curriculums. Does anybody else have any other ideas?
Well, it looks like Amber had one comment in there. And really the reading project would probably be a great tie-in for this, especially with the Reading Makes Sense curriculum, because that has some great application of using the reading project in a certain context. So that there's a lot of great crossover that could happen.
Yes, definitely, because in the Reading Makes Sense, it's got an index at the end of the books that it uses, and there's the book formats and editions. There's a great list. There's 1, 2, 3 pages of books that are listed in alphabetical order. And then it tells you if they're available in hardcover, paperback, if they're available in Spanish. And actually there are, I believe that the Financial Champions and correct me if I'm wrong, Shane, and I think I saw Spanish versions for the financial champions in the financial future workbooks. And so,
Yep.
and then some of the books also are in Spanish. So yeah, this would be a great resource for the reading project. And then like Rebecca said in the chat, the self-determined project could be a financial focus. So that's a perfect idea for that information. But it didn't take near as long as I thought it was going to. So Shane, what else do we need to cover?
I think Mike was just going to add maybe another question.
Yes, I was going to say the family consumer project might be a way to use it too.
Yes, that's a great suggestion also.
And like many of these areas, if there is enough interest and you would like to create something like at your local level or even at the state level, very often in counties or districts, you can do county only classes as kind of an intro. And then if they are garnering enough people that are interested, that's often how something is moved up to a state level class that's offered across the state. Is there's enough people that are willing to move something forward, and we can have that as a pilot class. So sometimes it's, you know, even starting at it as a self-determined piece, and then if there's enough interest, this is a great one because it can be both ways. It could be its own project completely where you're looking at it at finances and financial literacy, or it plays really well into pretty much all of our 4-H projects.
And for those older 4-Hers looking for leadership opportunities, you know, leading some of these activities with their 4-H club or the project group would be a good opportunity for leadership.
Yeah, so we had a session on service learning the other night. Hopefully people, if you haven't seen, that had lots of great ideas. This curriculum packet and these resources would work perfect for that. If you have some teens that would like to do some education, I saw that Amber had the idea of teaching at a library. This is perfect as a setup to give to your teens and say, here's a program you can go teach. It would work great in a library, an after school program. I just had a session today. We had boys and girls clubs. This would fit really well into there. Anywhere if you wanted kids to go do a service learning program, this would fit really.
And I really like Rebecca's idea in the chat. This could be worked into a session at KYLF or Discovery Days. So both great ideas. And then Vicki said that she, with her leather craft, the 4-Hers had to figure out their expenses and what they could sell their items for. So that's real similar to what I did with the kids in the Duds to Dazzle contest. And and that was another thing they had to do is where could you market this item? How would you go about selling this item? So that's great education also.
And I will do a shameless plug. So Monica has agreed at the volunteer forum. It's part of the leadership weekend at KYLF. We'll be doing a hands-on workshop for this as well. So this is meant as kind of an intro to look at the topic as a whole. So there will be an opportunity for anyone that's interested to come in person and do a next level to what we're talking about today.
We'll do some fun hands-on activities and from the different curriculum.
So a common one, as you guys are thinking about, this is again a great chance to learn from each other. If you have ideas or questions, very often when I've talked about financial literacy and all of these concepts, this is a great pairing with kind of an entrepreneurship or maker space type program. So if you're looking at a way to engage and look at how you can have that spark that we often talk about within 4-H, this concept and these principles really put the so what and why do things matter for a lot of our project areas. So if you're teaching entrepreneurship, if you would like to help them create and make, which the STEAM curriculum that we had earlier too had some of these same concepts. So this would pair really well if you're doing a clothing or textile science piece and you wanted to give that, why does this matter and how can you use this information in other places? This financial literacy idea and the concepts that are really simple to kind of include, give that relevance to all the things that we teach.
So are there any other questions?
So Rebecca, that's a good point. So one of the reasons that we even wanted to have this as a special session is to point out that we do have that emphasis on life skills within 4-H and that financial literacy and how things work. I started out in economics and business, that really you should have that why. Why do we care? How does this connect to the greater world? And those basic skills, learning how to be a treasurer and use financial literacy and understand how money works is paramount. That is something that will help youth be more successful. So if we can integrate those into all of our projects, we really are doing a service for all the youth we serve. I will. Okay, so as you guys are thinking about other questions or ideas, again, we have Monica, and Monica is a great resource to talk about how you could adapt this curriculum, activities you can do. Let's see. I think I'm going to share my screen really quickly because I've already done a drawing.
So you want me to stop my sharing?
I think it worked. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing. So we talked about the curriculum bundle. So this is a great resource. It's got kind of that piece. It's going to talk about putting all the pieces together. It's got some handouts, but we drew 6 or 10 names for all the people, and we'll be sending those out afterwards. If you have other questions about this resource, again, Monica, you have her contact information now, and I'll be posting these slides afterwards too. But if you have ideas or if you would like to teach this, this is a great piece that you can look at and use in the future. And I will throw this out too. We have one more of these sessions. I've invited Drew Ricketts. He is at K-State, and he's going to give us some really cool activities that you can do with youth around wildlife.
And I have to say congratulations to Sandy being one of the winners because she's one of my former Hodgman County 4-Hers. We were in 4-H together.
Thank you, Monica.
Thanks for being on.
Game.
Very good.
Yes, I'm trying to listen while I watch volleyball.
So is that, if we don't have anything else, Shane, are we